Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Cinderella Phenomenon, and we are going to start a whole new route today. We're starting Rod's route, but here's my only negative to the game. Every single time you want to start a new route, you have to start the game over. It goes through the little prologue, which is fine. It's only a scene or two. I skipped through it. We're not going to read it each time. Like the once upon a time, and then she met a man, but what happens after happily ever after? That thing. Okay, that's fine. But then you have to type your name in again, and it's like, could you just start the game and be like, use same name? Yes. Or like, read prologue? No. And then skip to this. Like, because I feel like I have to do a lot of clicking, and then I gotta retype my name. It's just a lot, like, you're like, I'm gonna do this 5 fucking times. Technically 10, because you have to do it when you're doing the good ending. Which is why now, as soon as we start, I'm saving. Like, I learned after doing Claude's route that it's like, okay, so after you choose your route, you make a save for when that's to load the good ending, so I don't have to do this again. But it's kind of like, now for every route you have to do it, though. It's kind of like, that's the only thing I don't like. It's like, you're making me skip through everything. Put my name in again. I already did that. Like, I like it better when you have to start again in games like, did you want to use the same name you used last time? Yes, please! I don't want to change it! I don't want to go through that again. I don't know why it's literally like 20 seconds, but it's still like, this again? Anyway. Is this Rod? No, that's Fritz. Really? Rod's purple? Why would Rod be purple? Doesn't seem purple to me. Anyway, we're doing Rod. The Wish, Chapter 1. You know, we did someone we loved. We love Claude. Rod is the character that I like the least. There was nothing wrong with his route. It's just, I don't identify like, So we're going to do him to get him out of the way, and then we'll do the other characters that we liked. I actually liked all of them except for Rod. And again, it's not that I didn't like Rod, but it's like if I had to rank them, like, I like them all. Rod's at the bottom. Even though I remember nothing that happened in any of their things. I'm going to skip. And we're going to start here. We're going to save. So that we know this is where we come back. Anyway. Flashback, obviously.
Is this truly what you want, Prince Rod? Remember that a wish is different from a curse. Once it's been cast, it cannot be reversed.
I'm sure. I'm assuming it's me. I've been pacing in front of the palace gates for what feels like an hour, unable to stand still because I'm so agitated. Where is the messenger? He was supposed to be here 30 minutes ago. Can it be that Rod's forgotten to write to me? My heart drops. He wouldn't forget, right? Oh, it's as this I was like, it is as this? What? I don't know why. Every once in a while, I can read perfectly good English and my brain is like, huh? Oh, right. It's as this depressing thought surfaces that the messenger approaches the gates.
Good morning, Your Highness.
I can't help the sigh that escapes my lips. You've arrived later than usual today. Do you have any letters for me?
Indeed.
The messenger rummages through his bag until he pulls out an envelope embellished with intricate golden swirls. He hands it to me with a flourish. Okay, I don't remember at all what happened in Rod's route, but I thought when we got to the end, it was like, we have to keep our love a secret because you're my stepbrother and it would be weird. So is Rod like away? I guess we'll find out. I recognize the envelope's design immediately. Rod always uses the same stationery. Is he away at school?
I've also one letter for His Majesty and another for Princess Emmeline.
I can deliver them.
But Your Highness, it's my job.
I insist. Shall I make it in order? Baffled, the messenger hands the letters to me. Thank you.
No, I should be the one thanking you. Have a pleasant day.
I turn toward the palace as the messenger departs. Emmeline's in the middle of a lesson, so I shall deliver her letter to her afterwards. But father should be unoccupied. Hides my own letter. I find the king on his throne, eyes glued to a piece of parchment in his hands. He looks up when I step into the room.
Good morning, Spacey.
Good morning, father. I feel like the father and the messenger are the same guy. Gasps, because they have the same voice right now. Father, I only started him calling that about a year ago, when the two of us first began trying to mend our relationship. It was awkward at first, but even slow progress is a step forward. I have a letter for you. Father raises an eyebrow and glances at the envelope in my hand.
Is there a reason you're delivering this letter?
I was already waiting for the messenger.
Ah, this is the first letter you've received all week, isn't it? Now I understand your enthusiasm.
I turn away, inwardly cursing the heat in my cheeks. Father chuckles.
Ah, to be young and in love.
I guess he knows, and he's okay with us. He accepts the letter for me and pries open the seal. If you don't need anything from me, then...
You're excused, Spacey.
I curtsy before heading toward the doors. Behind me, I can hear the king chuckling. I turn, curious, and am surprised to see him grinning. I wonder what Rod wrote to him. No, he's giggling. He's like,
he's in love with my daughter. I'm gonna have to kill him.
I can't help but wonder as I exit the throne room. In my room, I perch myself on the edge of my bed and undo the seal on the envelope. The parchment smells so much like Rod's perfume, it makes my heart sink. Rod wears perfume. It's cologne. It doesn't really matter, cologne, perfume. Same damn fucking shit. It's shit you spray on you to smell good. It's your good stinky spray, okay? It's your smell good spray. De-stinkify? Whatever. Doesn't matter. But it's just funny when it's like, oh, I'm gonna put on my perfume. Because we've turned it into such a girly word. Anyway. I miss him so much. I unfold the paper and start reading. Spacey. I apologize for my belated response. I've been so busy with preparations for the Queen's birthday that I've barely had a moment to myself these past few weeks. What Queen? Why is he in Brigantia? Interesting. I told you before how ridiculously grand the parties in Brigantia are, right? You know I don't enjoy that kind of decadence, so you can imagine how uncomfortable I was being forced to socialize with Brigantian royals for an entire evening. It was a nightmare. I can't help but smile as I imagine the scowl Rod must have been wearing that night. But I'm happy to say my hard work has paid off. The Queen was delighted with my dance choreography. Is he a dance instructor now? I'm not surprised by the Queen's praise. I know how skilled a dancer Rod is. I set the letter down on my lap with a sigh. Unbidden, I find my mind wandering back to the day Rod was whisked away to Brigantia. It was shortly after Parfait granted Rod's wish. Claude offered him a position as Brigantia's royal dance instructor, and Rod immediately took him up on the offer.
Okay, I don't know what wish this is, and I don't remember this happening.
He insisted that if he wanted to prove himself worthy of my hand, he needed to recraft his reputation from the ground up. I insisted such a thing was unnecessary, but Rod was unwilling to compromise. I turned back to the letter with a sigh. I hope all's well in the palace, and that M isn't causing you too much trouble. I miss you, Spacey, and can't wait to see you again. I promise to write again soon. I love you. Oh, whoops. What? No, whoops. Pause. Whoops. I didn't mean to click auto. I was just trying to click ahead. Can't wait to see you again. I love you. Okay. P.S. Sebby says he misses you too. The letter ends there, and it's a good thing, for my vision started to blur with tears. I wiped them away with the back of my hand. I mean, this is the thing. Man! Everybody's like, technology, yeah, but you could just pick up the phone and call someone and talk to them. Hey, I got 5 minutes. Hey, miss you, FaceTime, whatever. Wait, let me write a letter. Let me give it to a dude. It's not even the post office. There's not even trucks or planes. Like, that dude's got to run from town to town. That poor motherfucker. Obviously, like, somebody runs. It's like, I hate my job. I got to run from the edge of town to the edge of town, and there is nothing in between. The guy who's got to deliver it from in the middle of town to the center is like, it's the 16 people in between. Anyway. He didn't even bother to say when he plans on next visiting. Surprising you. Does he even miss me? Didn't he not just say that? I clench my fingers into a fist and startle when I notice electricity sparking at my knuckles. I close my eyes and take a few deep breaths, and when I open my eyes again, the sparks are gone. My magic is a temperamental thing, which is why I have to consciously tone down my emotions until I've mastered my magic completely. It doesn't help that my position as the Tenebrarum bearer makes my magic more sensitive to negative emotions. If I'm not careful, the negativity overwhelms my rationality. Parfait said I must possess a strong mind and heart, but that's easier said than done. I fall back on my bed with a groan and will the negative thoughts away. I could never be the Tenebrarum bearer. I'm so fucking negative. Goddamn miserable all the time. Like, that shit would just be, like, going on. Fucking sirens everywhere. It's been over a year since Rod left for Brigantia, and while he does his best to visit us when he can, it's been a full 2 months since I last saw him. That's rough. Why did he ever make that wish? 2 years ago, our relationship started with secrets. At first, the only people who knew about us were Emmeline and Ophelia, then the king. Even though Rod and I were not related by blood and had never grown up together, we were still wary of how our relationship must appear to the public. See, this is the part I remember. That was why we didn't share our relationship with the populace. Still, secrecy was hardly a solution. In the end, we turned to magic. Fairies can grant wishes? How did I not know this?
Because wishes can be just as dangerous as curses.
Parfait clasps her hands.
A long time ago, fairies granted wishes to those who prayed for them. Over time, humans came to depend on these wishes for happiness.
She shakes her head.
They saw wishes as convenient magic, but true happiness cannot be obtained by wishing for it. It's something that must be worked hard toward. And besides,
must be worked toward, not hard. Just worked toward, but probably hard.
Granting so many wishes caused an imbalance between the crystallum.
Would that not have been preferable? A life without negativity sounds like a dream.
And it shall remain a dream. The Tenebrarum exists for a reason.
Oh, so we're the negative Nancy and you get to be positive Polly. Fuck this shit. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
You have to be strong to deal with all the negative energy in the crystal that you're controlling.
Fuck this thing. Perfect for it. I'm already a miserable bitch. I don't mean her, I mean me literally.
Remember, there's no light without darkness, Spacey. Too much happiness can make a human selfish and gullible. Humans would be ill-equipped to recognize threats and danger in that state. The balance is vital. Thus, a new rule was established. Every fairy was allowed to grant only a single wish.
If fairies have been able to grant wishes this whole time, then why weren't wishes used to counter the curses during Mother's rule?
You know that witches can't remove their own curses. The same is true of fairies. We can't nullify a curse with the power of a wish.
You can only grant one. So you grant Rod's wish and then somebody else comes along like, I wish for something. You're like, fuck, but Rod wanted really big fucking clown shoes and I granted his wish, but yours to save that little island and all the people that live on it? I can't do it. I gave him clown shoes, man. Just one. That's it.
In addition, wishes have many limitations, the most important being that they can't be used to harm anyone, or bring anyone back for the dead, or make anyone fall in love with you, or
okay, Genie from Aladdin.
Believe me, Princess, we had many humans wishing for the demise of the witches during the Great War.
Couldn't they have just wished for the witches' anger to disappear?
We don't have the power to change a person's heart.
So you can't make anyone fall in love with you. There you go.
Besides that, the Tenebrarum overpowered the Lucius during the war, which made it impossible for fairies to even grant wishes.
So we grant curses and fairies grant wishes. Okay, cool. Got it. Got it!
Wish granting takes a significant amount of energy after all.
I know it's more in depth than that, but I'm just saying. It's pretty funny. Parfait crosses her arms and smiles. It's tinged with melancholy.
Let us return to the topic at hand. If your concern is that you're both perceived as family, then, if Prince Rod wishes it, I can make him a commoner.
What? Rod's eyebrows are furrowed. I can tell he's deep in thought. Don't tell me you're considering this, Rod. Interesting. My curse led to no end of trouble for my family, and blame myself for the sudden and difficult lifestyle changes we all had to undergo. But now, after all this time, they've become accustomed to living as royals. I can't just take that away from them. I won't uproot their lives like that again. Not again. Then we can find another way, one that doesn't require such sacrifices. Rod remains silent, but that's the thing, so his family remembers him, but he's a commoner? Is that what's, coming up here? You know what I mean? Anyway. Rod? Hold on, sorry. Whoops, alright. I'm sorry, Spacey. That's when I found out that Parfait had already spoken to Rod about wishes earlier. He'd even consulted Ophelia and Emmeline before asking me to accompany him to the tavern that day. And so he made his wish. This time, He wished to become a commoner rather than a prince. However, unlike the curse, his wish didn't affect Ophelia and Emmeline. It's only Rod that no one remembers. Even now, I'm saddened by the fact that he made that decision without considering my feelings. But here's the thing. He wrote a letter to Emmeline and he wrote to the king, so they obviously remember him, right? I mean, both of our lives were turned upside down in a heartbeat, and I barely had any time to prepare for it. A knock on the door jolts me from my reverie. Am I like crazy?
Who is it? It's me. May I come in?
You may.
Good morning, Spacey.
She glances at the open letter on my bed.
I take it that's from Rod?
Indeed. He also has a letter for you, too. It's on the table. Unless you're trying to say, like, I want my family to remember, I just want the regular people to think I'm a commoner and not, like, my family? You know what I mean? I don't know. Emmeline's face brightens as she picks up the envelope, but it makes it sound like everyone forgot him. Like, oh, his mom is it, like, everyone's gonna like, but then he wouldn't be writing to the king and to Emmeline. Maybe to the king, but not to Emmeline, you know what I mean? Anyway.
Did he say anything about when he plans to return?
She sighs when I shake my head.
He's as tight-lipped as always.
Other than me, only Ophelia, Emmeline, the king, and the Marchand goers recalled Rod's true identity. Wow, holy fucking shit, I can't read. Okay, but that explains everything. At first, there were doubts about whether Parfait could keep their memories of him intact. In the end, it was only possible because she enlisted the help of her cousin, Cinnamon. Do we get to meet Cinnamon? Because I know we didn't. Cinna, who's set to become the next Lucius bearer, had enough power to fine-tune the parameters of Rod's wish. The single caveat was Rod's only requirement. Being so close to his own family, he refused to make his wish without knowing for certain they would remember him. I can only imagine how difficult this distance is for you and Ophelia. Emmeline shakes her head.
We miss him, but we also know he's doing something he wants to do.
Emmeline plops down on the bed beside me. What he's doing is unnecessary. Rod says that what he's doing is for the both of us, yet he made the decision to go to Brigantia on his own. Emmeline gives my hand a gentle squeeze.
You know he only went because he felt he needed to prove himself worthy of your hand.
Why does it even matter? Ophelia was a baker when father married her. I mean, that's true. Your father doesn't have the right. I mean, maybe the crowds, but like, your father isn't going to be the one that goes, "Oh, you can't marry my daughter. What? No. I mean, you might be like, it's a little awkward because you're kind of like her brother, but
Rod loves you, Spacey. That was apparent to all of us. It's why we decided to support his decision. We want you both to be happy.
Sorry, my internet is giving me such a fucking raging anger, like it's being a douche canoe. Anyway. Emmeline pats me on the shoulder, then rises from the bed with a smile.
Look at the time! I only meant to come in and check on you, but I've taken up so much of your time. I'll show myself out now. I don't want you to be late for your magic lessons.
Thank you, Emmeline.
Of course, I'm always happy to help.
Emmeline gives me a quick hug before leaving. I return my attention to Rod's letter. I should probably write back, but I'm still irritated he didn't provide a date for his next visit. Best ending is don't write back. Maybe that makes him come to us. I don't think writing him right now would be wise, especially when I'm likely to write something I may regret. I'll send him a letter once my anger's cooled. I glance at the clock, realizing it's almost time for my magic lesson with Waltz. Oh, we get to hang out with Waltz again. I take a deep breath and will away my gloomy thoughts before heading to the forest. It's been 3 days since I received Rod's letter, and I'm still agitated by it. Does he not miss me? Spacey! I conjure a shield at the last minute, just barely managing to block Waltz's magic as it comes racing towards me. You were distracted. If this was a real battle, you'd have been hurt. Sorry. Walt sighs as he rubs at the back of his neck. Let's call it a day. Okay. If you don't mind my asking, is this about Rod? No. Liar. Walt just smiles at me innocently when I scowl at him. You're as easy to read as always, Princess. I'm sure you don't want to talk about... Oh, you sure you don't want to talk about it? It's nothing. Doesn't seem like it. It's just, being in a long-distance relationship is difficult. I never wanted this. A dent appears between Waltz's eyebrows, and I cut him off before he can respond. Forget I said anything. I apologize for wasting your time today. I'll do better next time. Waltz looks at me worriedly. Would you at least like to stop by the Marchen before heading back to the palace? I'm sure Lady Parfait and Delora would be glad to see you. Anise, too. It's been a while since you visited. I think I'd like that. Is, what's-his-face dead in this one, too? It'll be a good distraction from my thoughts. Walt and I walked back to the Marchen together. Thankfully, because he's a witch, so well trusted by Father, there's no need for a night escort today. The quiet companionship is nice. Waltz doesn't bother me as I mull over my thoughts. Princess! Anise greets me first when I step into the Marchen. Hello, Anise. It's been a while. It's been weeks. Please make yourself at home while I prepare the Marchen's special hot chocolate. I look through the doorway into the notably empty tavern area and raise an eyebrow. Do you not have any customers today? We closed early today for a restock. I see. Anise smiles again before disappearing into the kitchen. I take a seat at the settee. Walt sits across from me. I look around and realize how quiet the Marchen is. Even though it's been 2 years since I left this place, I'm still not accustomed to seeing it so empty. It's hard to believe this place was so crowded before, but now... The Marchen is just an ordinary tavern. Anise and Waltz are the only boarders who remained after I started breaking the fairy tale curses. Garland and Jurian have returned to the Order of Caldera, and Chevalier to his clinic. Claude, of course, returned to his own kingdom. That's so depressing! Claude returned to his own kingdom. Should we have done this route first? Because now it makes me sad. Claude, but you're supposed to be my husband! I know it's a different route, but it makes me sad. Though it feels rather empty now, I'm glad to know everyone still visits occasionally. This quiet is still so strange. So much has changed since you broke the fairy tale curses. Not all of them. There are still people out there who are cursed. And don't worry, they'll keep coming to you as the word spreads. And I mentioned before that Delora and I might be able to help you find a way to drain the curse magic entirely from the Tenebrarum. And that would solve the issue entirely. It's at times like this that my thoughts shift to Fritz. I haven't seen him for 2 years. Not since I became the Tenebrarum bearer. I feel like Fritz should be the last one we do. Was he the last one that we did in the first one? But I feel like he should be, because I feel like they're always like, Fritz is dead, and I feel like he should be our last one. Myth, who is now the fairy's prisoner, confessed to inflicting the fairy tale curse upon him. When we asked him for Fritz's location, he refused, claiming it was too late to reverse the curse. Even now, we have no idea of Fritz's whereabouts. This is like also, Fritz is dead, Fritz is dramatically missing, like, makes it so much sadder. Are you thinking about Sir Fitzgerald? I like how his name is Sir Fitzgerald. So fucking weird. I look up in surprise. I forgot about that. Like, Fitz. You're like, it's Fritz. Okay, and it's Fitzgerald. Wait, what? How did you know? You've been worrying about him ever since you found out he was cursed. Which was in the other right? Yeah. Right now, all we can do is have faith he'll return one day. And maybe if we can expel the curse from the crystal entirely, he'll come back without the curse. That truly would be the best case scenario. The room was briefly silent before I look up at Waltz, curious. What about you, Waltz? What are your plans for the future? Well, I've only ever wanted one thing. And now that it's happened, I'll have to think of something else. Oh. It's not important. Just some happiness for a friend. I am skeptically. Are you talking about me? I thought you were talking about yourself. Like, I've only ever wanted one thing, was that to not be 10 anymore. It sucked! Like, is there nothing else? Something for you? He's like, oh, well, falling in love with you, but, you know, you fell in love with somebody else. Like, whatever. Step bro. Right now, I'm happy just focusing on my students. There's a twinkle in Waltz's eyes when he mentions them, and I can't help but smile. Waltz has been teaching young witches how to use their magic for about a year now. Apparently, he's very good with children, which makes him an excellent tutor. It's because he used to be one. Glad I'm no longer his only student. I'm grateful Lady Parfait kept the Martian open. It's a great place to teach. I can imagine. Speaking of Parfait, how's her training with Cinna? I've only met Cinna once, and that was when Rod made his wish. I don't know much about him, save for the fact that he's Parfait's cousin and next in line to be the bearer of the Crystallum Lucius. I've only met him once, but I can tell he has a strong personality. Cinna's very talented, but he can be difficult. That sounds like him. Right, but if anyone can smooth down frayed edges, it's Parfait. Anise returns with 3 mugs of hot chocolate. We didn't invite you, Anise! I'm just kidding. We spend some time catching up. Later, after I drain my mug, I excuse myself to head back to the palace. Unfortunately, because it's late, I don't have the chance to see either Parfait or Delora. But there's always next time. I say my goodbyes to Anise before heading back to the palace with Waltz as an escort. Later, after Waltz leaves, I'm walking toward my room and a maid appears before me. She bows.
Good evening, Your Highness. His Majesty has asked for you in the throne room.
Father? What could he want for me at this hour? I'll be there shortly. The maid bows again before walking away. Sorry. Father is standing in front of the window when I arrive, his gaze far away. You asked for me, Father?
Ah, there you are.
He gestures for me to stand beside him, then turns his attention back to the window. I follow his gaze to a spectacularly beautiful full moon.
Beautiful night, is it not?
Indeed. Father, why have you called for me?
Spacey.
His change in tone is concerning, and I'm tense when he turns toward me.
I've called you here to discuss a special ball I'd like to throw you next month.
It doesn't take long for a familiar irritation to start burning in my heart. Would this be the suitor's ball by any chance? Yet another ball meant to pressure me into finding a husband.
Well, you're well past the traditional marrying age for royalty, but...
Sometimes my mouth doesn't click when I click. You know the reason why I'm unmarried. I ball my hands into tight fists. I refuse to have this ball, and nothing you do or say will change my mind. Father sighs and rubs his temples.
And here I thought I could surprise you.
Surprise me? If that's your goal, then this is a most unpleasant surprise. He was going to surprise me with Rod. It wouldn't be so unpleasant if you just let him finish what he has to say. It has to be... I mean, come on.
It's like, and I was going to surprise you.
With Rod, obviously. The voice comes from behind me. It's a voice I haven't heard in months. I turn and stare at the man approaching us. He wears a familiar, endearing scowl. I run to him without thinking and throw my arms around his neck. Oh, our first CG! Hugs! I let out a breathless laugh when he sets his hands on the small of my back. Hello, Spacey. I cling to him tightly, hardly believing that he's here. But I can feel his breath against my neck when he speaks, and I know for certain it's no dream. I'm back. Sorry for making you wait for so long. I bury my face into his chest, relishing his warmth. I can feel tears welling in my eyes, and in my happiness, I don't even bother to brush them away. For the first time in months, I feel buoyant. It's been so long since I embraced him. Eventually, I pull myself away and try to compose myself, but I can't wipe the smile from my face. What are you doing here? Why didn't you tell me you were coming? I turn to Father. What's going on?
You remember that letter you gave me a few days ago? He told me to expect him on this day, but not to tell you because he wanted it to be a surprise.
And the ball? Father laughs.
It will be a celebratory night, not a suitor's ball. Because of your hard work as the Tenebrarum bearer, this kingdom has known peace for the first time in a long while, Spacey. It's only natural we show our appreciation.
I misunderstood. Father, I apologize for jumping to conclusions. Mother waves a dismissive hand.
There's no need for apologies. Now I shall leave you two alone. I can imagine you have a lot of catching up to do.
He smiles at us before taking his leave. When we're finally alone, I turn to Rod with a scowl. Why do you have that look on your face? Well, let me guess, you're mad because I made you wait so long? No, of course I'm mad! the good ending answers is no, or of course, no, of course I'm mad! It just looks so funny together. Spacey. I don't want to snap at him, not when he's just returned. Rod takes another step forward and I'm just about to tell him off when I feel his arms around me. I know you're mad I had to leave for so long again. And for that I apologize. I close my eyes and sigh. My irritation dissipates slowly as I soak in Rod's warmth. How is it that he's able to cool my anger so quickly? That's what happens when somebody that you love, and they're not a douche canoe. I'm just saying, right? I step away from him, putting enough distance between the two of us that I can see his face. Why sometimes when I click it doesn't click and it drives me bonkers? Rod runs a hand through his hair and smiles. So much for making this a surprise. I would have preferred you notifying me. I should have realized. I do like surprises. They just have to be the right kind. Rod sighs. I'll have to do better next time then. A soft but comfortable silence ensues after he makes his promise. I take advantage of the moment to study him. It's only been 2 months, yet it feels like he's changed so much since I last saw him. Stop staring at me like that! Rod turns away, his cheeks dusted pink. But he's still the same awkward Rod. I pause, realizing a certain plush toy is conspicuously missing from his shoulder. Where's Sebi? He's back in my room. You know how much he babbles. I didn't want him to ruin our reunion. At least he can't read your thoughts anymore. And that doesn't stop him from trying to do it anyway. And he succeeds most of the time. Rod hefts a hand to his hip. How have you been faring lately? I've been well, all things considered. And the nightmares? Ever since I became the Tenebrarum bearer, my nightmares have become more intense. It's an unfortunate side effect of the negativity gathered in the crystallum. Words! With the speaking, can't do it. The nightmares are worse whenever I'm under a high level of stress. My nightmares have intensified these past few months on account of my worry for Rod. But he just came back. I don't want to worry him about such things. Rod frowns when I don't answer. They're getting worse, aren't they? They are, but they're still manageable. Rod closes the distance between us and wraps me in his arms. I'm sorry. I know it's my fault. You're not to blame for this. I'm the Tenebrarum bearer. Having nightmares is just an unfortunate side effect of my job. But I made them worse. That I can't deny. I gently push Rod back so that I can look at him. That's why you need to make it up to me. I'll do my best. He says the words with such a serious expression that I can't help but giggle. It's like, he's supposed to have a bitchy, but it's like, I can't, when he's being nice to us, I can't do the bitchy voice, you know what I mean? It's hard. Why are you laughing at me? I missed your glower. Rod sighs and shakes his head. Do you have to point it out every time my face changes? If it embarrasses you, then yes. We cold. He clears his throat. Anyway, I'll make it up to you. How about we go somewhere together soon to help you relax? I stare at him. The two of us? In public? My heart flutters at the thought. We've been hiding our relationship for so long that we've been unable to go anywhere together in public. Also, I mean, he's not your brother anymore, so. So long as we're discreet, I think we can make it work. Where would you want to go? The forest. It's been a while since we last visited the forest. I hear that there are apples on some of the trees now, and the two of us used to dance there. It was always my favorite time of the day. It's as if Rod can read my mind. He raises an eyebrow and smiles. That's actually really cute, though. We used to just go into the forest and dance together. Aw, it's kind of adorable. And it's always been a good place to dance. Yes. Alright then, forest it is. And we'd avoid crowds altogether that way, too. He glances out the window at the moon hanging high in the sky. It's late. You should get some sleep. I'd escort you back to your room, but the last thing I want is to start unnecessary rumors. It's a shame, but he definitely has a point. If the servants saw him leading me back to my room now, they'd be confused. Rod is, after all, still a visitor in these halls. He must be making a face, because Rod grins as he sets a hand on my shoulder. Oh, I must be making a face, not he. Me. Me making face, ha ha, face. Rest assured, I'll still be here in the morning. I stare at him in surprise. Wait, are you staying the night? Rod nods, smiling. I'm shocked into silence. Whenever Rod comes to see us, he always stays the night at the Marchand to avoid unnecessary gossip regarding his visits. I'll explain tomorrow. Aha, you're gonna propose to her. Come on, that's how this is gonna go. When I continue staring at him, he rolls his eyes. I'm not a witch, you know. I can't teleport to Brigantia that quickly. I promise I'll be here in the morning. I'll hold you to that promise, then. I return a smile before leaving the throne room. I spend the night pondering Rod's sudden reappearance. He said he wanted to surprise me, but is there another reason he showed up so suddenly? Yes, they're gonna have, it's not a suitor's ball, it's a ball, just to thank you for all you've done. It's a proposal, but oh, our daughter's getting married. That's what it is. Spacey, it's me. I open the door to find Emmeline smiling at me so brightly she seems to shine. So, did you see him? Let me guess, everyone knew he was coming except for me. Well, it wouldn't have been much of a surprise if you knew. Emmeline closes the door behind her and walks over to sit on the bed. I notice that she has her hands behind her back. What if I told you we had another guest? Sebby? Oh? Emmeline shifts and I can see now that she's grasping a very familiar plush toy in her hands. Sebby! Hello, princess. Long time no see. I don't remember what Sebby's voice is, but I feel like he should be a British rabbit. Even though I'm not good at it, but just crappy British accent, that's what we're doing. I reach forward to pat him affectionately on the head. It's good to see you again. I hope you've been taking good care of Rod. Of course. I've been standing in for Ophelia this whole time. I'm glad Rod still brings Sebby around with him. It is kind of odd that he's like bringing a plush bunny everywhere he goes, but it's a talking plush bunny. It's alive, so like, it's different. Emmeline sighs and falls back against the bed with a content smile. It's really so nice to have Rod and Sebby back. You should have seen Mother last night. She was in tears. My heart sinks when I notice Emmeline's gloomy expression. It's unfortunate we can't openly show him any affection. Right, because the servants and nobles would be confused to see the royal family treating an outsider with such fondness. I am sorry. Why are you apologizing, Spacey? You didn't do anything wrong. I'm the reason Rod's no longer a part of the family. I'm the reason he's no longer your brother. Nonsense! No matter what, Rod is still and will always be my little brother. Little brother. Emmeline laughs. I know he definitely doesn't look little anymore, but it's not like his height changes anything. She smiles wistfully. When we were younger, I remember adamantly telling him he would never be as tall as me. He snapped at me, and from that day on, drank at least 1 glass of milk every day. Sounds to me like nothing's changed. Rod still drinks at least a glass of milk a day, you know. His voice is changing every single time because I can't do a good accent. Shut up. I could do it if I wasn't trying to read it. You ever notice that like I can throw around accents if I'm saying, but if I'm trying to read, and I can't do it. I don't know what it is. Stage fright, I just can't, my other personalities can't read, I don't know, whatever. The thought of a younger, irritable Rod makes me smile. You knew him, a young, irritable Rod, 2 years ago. Oh! Emmeline sits up suddenly, staring at the clock. It's true, time really does fly when you're in good company, but it's about time we get going. Emmeline grabs my hand, and before I realize what's happening, she's pulling me out into the corridor with her. Wait! Where are we going? Have you forgotten, Spacey? It's time for our dance lessons. We don't want to be late for our introductions. Dance lessons? What are you talking about? I don't have dance lessons. What is this all of a sudden? Rod's a dance instructor. Well, Mother thinks you should be taking them. Father even took the liberty of inviting one of the best dance instructors and all. Oh, one of the best dance instructors to Angeal. Emmeline winks as she pushes the doors to the throne room open. Everything I'd been thinking falls to pieces the moment I enter the chamber and see Rod speaking with Father and Ophelia. I don't know why sometimes it doesn't work. Goddamn mouse is weird. Rod?
Meet our new dance instructor! I hear he has quite the reputation in Brigantia.
And there's no need to exaggerate him.
Exaggerating? Never! I speak only the truth.
Ah, you're finally here, Spacey. I had no time to fill you in last night, but as I'm sure Emmeline explained, Rod is officially our new royal dance instructor.
You stole him away from Brigantia? I stare, baffled. Did they all know about this too? Rod clears his throat. His Majesty tells me you require instruction in traditional Brigantian dancing. His lips quirk mischievously. I feel like that look is not like, haha, it's the, oh God, we did something to you and you're gonna spite me for it now, aren't you? Jesus. I imagine you have a long way to go before you can boast about your skills. I'll make you swallow those words. Good. That's the kind of spirit I like to see. Father crosses his arms and smiles.
You understand then? Rod will be staying with us as our very special guest until the ball.
Until the ball? What happens afterwards? The mischief fades from Rod's face abruptly. He turns away, eyes distant. Is he going to leave again? No, he's going to stay here because he's going to be our fiancé. Spacey, let's not think about that now.
That's right! Let's focus on the here and now!
Ophelia and Emmeline's optimism lifts my heart. They just want to enjoy their brother/son. Ophelia has a point. I should make the most of this time. After the announcement, Father and Ophelia turn their discussion to the ball. Rod approaches me. In no time at all, his fingers are interlaced through mine. Please be patient with me, Spacey. I have a plan for the future. I promise. I squeeze his hand back and nod. I hope he's right. I hope that this time I won't have to wait long. You won't have to wait that long. We're gonna get married. Anxiety. The next day, Rod and I head out to the forest. Just as I anticipated, the trees are more vibrant today, their branches weighed down by shining red apples. It's beautiful. I reach out to touch one of the apples. Do you think we should pick some for Emmeline? I'm sure she'd love that. A gentle breeze rustles the leaves of the trees as we take in our surroundings. The sounds of birds chirping punctuates the gentle silence. I was looking at my birds. Cue bird chirping. No? Really? You're gonna be... Seriously?
You know, when I need a shrieking noise and I'm like, please do shrieking, you don't do shrieking. When I need chirpy noises, you don't do chirpy noises. You're not very good at this. She's never going to get paid to be a bird actor.
Well, but Little Bird decided to come out when I turned, so okay, well there you go. There's no bird chirpings right now. They'll chirp later when we don't need them to chirp, but... Anyway. Birds chirping, okay, yeah. Being here with Rod makes me feel at peace. For the moment, neither of us has to worry about being seen in each other's company. We can relax. This place is full of nostalgia. I looked forward to our secret meetings here. Funny that we're still meeting here like this, even after so much has changed. We stand there for a few moments, savoring the peace and quiet. And then Rod slowly steps away from me and holds out his hand. May I have this dance? Of course. The two of us have never needed music to dance. I close my eyes and lean my head against his chest, relishing the feeling of his closeness. It's been a long time since we danced like this, but I have the movements memorized. It's easy to slide back into routine. Later, when the sun sinks below the horizon, Rod turns to me. As much as I enjoy this, I think we should head back. He smiles. Your dance lessons are about to start, and we unfortunately need a bigger space for them. I take his arm when he offers it. So, apple picking and then we return to the palace? Rod nods. Rod? Thank you for suggesting this break. Anything for you, Spacey. The next day, Father officially introduces Rod as our dance instructor. The announcement causes quite a stir, and soon all the servants are talking about him. It's not long before the gossip spreads through Angeal. Most of what people are saying is positive. It seems Rod does have quite the reputation. It's amazing that Rod has made a name for himself in so short a time. I hope he overhears these conversations and is proud of himself. I certainly am. I'm on my way to the throne room when I hear one such conversation between two maids.
So what do you think of the new dance instructor? He looks to have a stern demeanor, but I'm sure maybe he's a secret charmer.
They giggle.
I'm impressed someone so young has earned so much prestige in Brigantia. I can only imagine how talented he must be. And he's so handsome to boot. I wonder what he looks like when he smiles. He always has such a scowl on his face.
Do they never tire of gossiping?
But it's strange, isn't it? Sir Rod has visited the palace many times before. I wonder what...
Oh!
Oh? Do you suppose he's courting Princess Emmeline? They seem very close. Maybe you're right.
I nearly choke on my own breath and have to put a hand over my mouth to keep from laughing.
You know what's strange, though? The fact that they look so similar. That is rather odd. Do you think he could be courting Princess Spacey? You think? From what I overhear, Princess Spacey has never expressed interest in any of her suitors.
Well, I guess I'm grateful no one has caught on to that tidbit of gossip at least. I shake my head as I make my way to the throne room.
They're like, oh my god, do you think Princess Spacey is courting Princess Emmeline and they're having secret love affairs?
What? No. Ron and Emmeline look up in unison when I step inside. Emmeline immediately shoves her hands behind her back and smiles at me. It's a strange, strained smile.
Hello, Spacey!
Are you okay?
Of course, why wouldn't I be?
Her voice actually squeaks, and I'm unsure of whether to be confused or concerned. I raise an eyebrow. She's hiding a ring. Rod gives Emmeline a gentle nudge. Are you going to be late for your piano lessons, Em?
Oh, you're right! I'll see you both later!
Emmeline makes a beeline for the door and only slows as she gets closer to me. She turns and, obviously hiding something behind her back, continues to sidestep toward the door. Come on. We get married in every route. We're not going to get proposed to? Come on. You're acting strange.
It's just your imagination!
The last thing to leave her mouth before she exits is an excruciatingly awkward laugh. Rod looks like he's trying not to cringe. Emmeline is a terrible liar. I turn to Rod expectantly. Stay silent. They're obviously keeping some secret from me, but I'm more amused than irritated. I would be like, they're keeping a secret, but maybe it's a surprise and I shouldn't know. I can't help the smile on my face. What is it? Nothing. Nothing at all. Rod smiles, if not a little awkwardly, before turning to a nearby table to look at his music sheets. The table is new. Father had it placed here for our lessons. So, have you heard the latest gossip? Rod groans. Please tell me you're not actually interested in that. I assure you this gossip is a little more entertaining. How so? I overheard a rumor you were courting Emmeline today. Rod stares at me in horror. I laugh at his reaction. You're just messing with me. No, it's the truth. Who started this rumor? Do they not realize how ridiculous it is? Rod pinches the bridge of his nose. Why did it have to be M? There was nothing about you? I suppose we have no chemistry. And that just means our acting is impeccable. How much longer are we going to pretend, Rod? It's been 2 years. You made this wish so we didn't have to hide, so why are we still doing this? Rod looks away, eyes distant. Are you still afraid people will think you're unworthy because you're a commoner? Rod flinches. You thought you were gonna, so you chose to be a commoner. Well, I think they're gonna think I'm unworthy because I'm a commoner. You wish to be a commoner. Yeah, but before I was your brother. Yeah, but at least you were royalty. I mean, step-brother. At least you weren't my actual brother or half-brother or anything weird. I saw what Mother went through after marrying the king. Yeah, but the people have to be used to it by now. They're like, it's just the way the royal family goes. I'm just saying. It's not like when our father did it, it was, he's marrying a common woman. It was appalling, right? It was like well, it wasn't appalling. It was shocking. What? Huh? And now they're like, if we do it, they're like, oh yeah, well, whatever. Well, I mean, we got upset when the king was marrying a commoner, so of course the princess marrying her half-brother, who's a kind of prince by default, her stepbrother. I mean, I guess we shouldn't have been shocked before, because now is the time to be shocked, but you ran out. You used your shocked faces. You used up all your surprised Pikachu face, okay? You don't get any more, so us marrying our stepbrother should be totally cool at this point. You're like, oh, whatever. That's how it goes in this family. I'm just saying. Nothing should surprise him anymore. I know it must have been a difficult transition, but Ophelia is well loved. I look at him, perplexed. Are you scared you'd have to go through the same thing as Ophelia? I don't care what people say about me. I'm concerned about what they'll say about you. Rod, you already know I don't care what others say about me. You're like, everyone hated me and thought I was evil before. If I married my stepbrother, that's like the lesser of two things they're going to bitch about. I'm just saying. Whatever. They've already said the worst. It's only up from here. I'm no stranger to shutting people out. I've lived most of my life being hated by this kingdom, Rod. I think I can handle myself just fine. You're right. Maybe it is me after all. Rod abruptly shrugs as if shirking the worry from his shoulders. Let's not talk about this right now. I just remembered something I wanted to discuss with you. Oh? I was thinking last night about how you never responded to my last letter. You were here 3 days later, you wouldn't have gotten it. There was no time. You arrived 3 days later, literally. I don't know if I knew it was 3 days or I just made a guess, but... Em intercepted the messenger that day to make sure no letters were being sent to me. She didn't see anything from you. I was gonna write, but I was upset that day and wanted to put it off until I was calmer. If this is because of my wish, then maybe I never should have told you about it. I stare at him, baffled. Rod, can you imagine how terrible I would have felt if you hadn't told me? Leaving me in the dark would have been the greatest insult to me. Rod shakes his head. Sorry, that was a stupid thing to say, I know. I know it was a bit late, and I know I'd already made up my mind, but you needed to know. And I always figured that if you truly despised the idea, I would stop. But you were hopeful, weren't you? Even if you were a bit reluctant. Maybe I was hopeful. I didn't get as angry at him as I should have, but did it really seem that way to him? Spacey, I know you're unsatisfied right now, but trust me, I've learned from my mistakes. From here on out, we face our problems together. I like that, Rod. Only, it's difficult to do things together when you live so far away. I know, but I promised you I had a plan, right? I'll make things work. I look at him with scrutiny, but Rod doesn't waver this time. He regards me confidently, and after a few moments, I cave. I will trust you then. Rod sighs. I wanted this, Spacey. Not just for you, but for myself too. Being a prince was a constant reminder of how much I lied to the world about who I was. And with this wish, I start living a life crafted by my own hands. But before I can say anything else, Rod's closed the distance between us and pressed his lips to mine, effectively cutting off my words. Afterwards, he pulls back and looks right into my eyes, his face flushed. He's the blushy one. It strikes me that this has happened more than a few times. Must you always do that so suddenly? Rod grumbles and shrugs. It's always the easiest way to get you to stop talking. Anyway, I love you, Spacey, and I'd do anything for you. And no matter what happens in the future, I know I'll never regret this wish. Rod sets a hand on my shoulder and squeezes. Stop worrying about all this, okay? And I promise it'll work out. I can't promise, but I'll certainly try. That's good enough for me. Now, he reaches for my hand and plants a kiss on the back of it. Shall we continue where we left off yesterday? I smile as I place my other hand on his shoulder. We shall. Aw, second CG. These past few days, Rod had been teaching me one of the Brugantian dances he learned. This dance in particular is full of energy and involves a lot of twirling and side steps. Rod leads me into spin after spin, We've become comfortable enough dancing with each other that we don't need to focus on our steps when we move. I'm glad, because it allows me to focus on his serene expression. Is there something on my face? I shake my head. Nothing but your wonderful smile. I was just thinking how much I miss dancing with you. Same here, and now we can do it every day. Yes, only, how much longer will every day last? By the time the song had stopped, I'm almost out of breath. Job well done, Spacey. You still need to practice your footwork, but you're learning quickly. Rod leads me to a chair and hands me a glass of water. Thank you. I gulped down at least half the glass before facing Rod. That dance was exhausting. How are you not out of breath? I've had a lot of practice. Wonder if he dances with Karma. He's like, I need a dance partner. And fucking Claude comes out and he's like dressed like Carmen. He's like, no, but like a woman. Hello? I'm a beautiful woman. Once you get used to the steps, they become cathartic. You just need to build stamina. It's a dance that suits Brigantians, though. They're very lively. I look at Rod, curious. Can you tell me more about life in Brigantia? Rod seems to ponder quietly for a few minutes. Then after some consideration, he pulls out a chair and sits beside me. He begins by telling me how difficult life was for him at the beginning, especially given that he'd never left the kingdom before. He was constantly homesick, but Claude and his family were able to lighten that burden by being overly accommodating. At first, it was overwhelming. Eventually, however, Rod became accustomed to the royal family's enthusiasm. He tells me very briefly about them. When he brings up Lance, Claude's brother, I can't help but wonder. I have spoken to Lance a few times. He seems more cordial than Claude, but I don't know him well. Wonder what he's like. Rod crosses his arms. Being a student was easier than being a teacher. Back when I lived here, all I needed to do was study. I might not have been good at most of my classwork, but at least it was straightforward work. Really? Emmeline told me once that you were a fast learner. She said you learned how to sing, dance, cook. Rod flushes. I excelled in those things because I enjoyed them, not because I was a good student. You enjoy cooking, cleaning, and dancing? I could use someone to cook and clean for me. And if you're gonna dance while you do it, I mean, sure. I look at him, curious. I never heard you sing or watched you cook. Oh, cooking and singing. I threw cleaning in there because I just want a man who cleans. Rod shrugs. Dancing was the easiest way for me to express myself when I lost my voice. And now it feels like the most natural thing to focus on. Oh, that's right. He couldn't talk. That's why he had Sebi. To read his mind and speak for him. But, like, what was his... I can't remember his curse, though. He couldn't talk, but... Like, Waltz was... like Peter Pan, right? Because he was, like, kid forever. We had Beauty and the Beast. We were the Cinderella curse. But what that... I forget what his was. And... well, Rumpelstiltskin was... Rumple was Rumpelstiltskin. But, I don't remember what Fritz was. He had a split personality, though. Like... Anyway. Look! We played the game so long ago I don't remember, and I probably should have just reread through it, like, beforehand, but I didn't have time for that. But traditional classwork's never come easy to me. And here I thought the only thing you were bad at was expressing your feelings. Rod's cheeks turn an endearing shade of pink as he scowls at me. You're the worst! He sighs as he glances out the window at some distant sight. So, what are you bad at, then? Why would you ask me that? Because I'm curious. You have to promise not to laugh. I won't. Maybe. Rod stares down at his hands and sighs. History, politics, fencing, remembering dates and names and combat. My swordsmanship is atrocious. There's clear distress in Rod's eyes when he confesses this to me. His usual stoic facade is broken. The Rod I see before me looks vulnerable and anxious. I can't help but smile. Why are you smiling? I'm always happy when you open up to me. It makes me feel like I'm a part of your life. He's like, you are a part of my life. And from now on, I'll make sure to tell you even the little things. I would love that. I'm Once my dance lessons are over, I head back to my room to practice creating simple potions. It's a solitary task, one I normally practice in my free time. However, probably because I'm always so bored during the experiments, I sit up groggily, realizing belatedly that I've fallen asleep at my desk. Various potion ingredients lay scattered on the surface. Like this song, loud as fuck. I mean, we're over time, but there wasn't a nice... I was like, I go back, and probably because it's boring, I wake up. That wasn't really a nice pause, but... I stare at the clock. It's already the next day? How in the world did I sleep through last night's dinner? A knock sounds at the door. Your Highness, Your Majesty requires your presence in the throne room. Understood. I wonder what he wants from me so early in the morning. Alright, I'm gonna stop here. Because, like, I should have stopped when she fell asleep, but it was weird because it's usually, like, there's at least a transition, and this, like, there wasn't really. It was like, I go back to my room to study my potions. The next morning I wake up, whoa, it just kind of flowed perfectly into that. But we're, like, at time, so this conversation between our father and Rod might take a few minutes, so we'll just stop here, and we'll continue on, in Rod's route, the next part, so... I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.